Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What would happen if Batman suddenly appeared in the Walking Dead universe? Would he decide to go at it alone, or would he join up with a group? How would he deal with people like Negan or the Whisperers? Well, here in the What If series, we operate with Terminator logic. We assume that a portal opens, dropping Batman out into this Walking Dead universe, and just like in Terminator, he's not allowed to bring along any gadgets or his suit or any technology with him. It's just him, his skill set, and his brain. How would Batman go? Let's find out. So under these rules, his beginning in this universe would actually be kind of similar to Rick Grimes, where he woke from his coma and just found himself dropped in the middle of this post-apocalyptic world. It'd be the same with Batman, although he literally would drop into this universe. And upon his first encounter with one of the Walking Dead, he would realize pretty quickly that something very wrong is here. But fortunately, right off the bat, one of the best things he has going for him is he's in top-notch physical condition. He's got the stamina to outrun a horde of zombies if he needs to. He's got the parkour abilities that he can just jump over things and escape them. He's got his stealth abilities so that he could avoid them without them even knowing that he's there. And when he does have to do battle with them, he will be an expert at wielding whatever type of weapon he can get his hands on. And no doubt after Batman's first encounter with the zombie, he will wish that he had his Batsuit with him, his Kevlar bite-resistant suit, which would completely protect him from any zombie bites apart from his chin, of course. So I'm sure he would make crafting some form of bite-proof armor for himself a top priority. Whether he'd find a police station and get like riot gear, whether he'd just slap together body armor from a nearby army surplus store, or whether he just did a Brad Pitt and duct taped rolls of magazines to his arms. And his skills with throwing the batarangs will become very useful for picking off the walkers from a distance, just a knife right between the eyes. I'm sure he's got the accuracy to do that. And of course, being able to throw knives and throwing implements like that would mean he doesn't need to waste valuable bullets taking out walkers. Seriously, Walking Dead, why do you guys keep wasting bullets on walkers? You know how valuable these bullets are in a post-apocalyptic world? Use your knives, use your arrows, stop shooting walkers. Stop it! Stop shooting walkers! Save it for the human threats, okay? But strange as it may seem, these sort of combat and physical fitness abilities of Batman is kind of where the list of usefulness for his skills ends. Because when you really think about it, Batman's skill set is custom built for a very specific task of catching criminals in an urban environment. Firstly, in The Walking Dead, staying too long in a big city is suicide. Not just because there will be millions of zombies there, but all of the food will have been looted within the first couple of days of the outbreak. I mean, sure, Batman might be able to scavenge like a few cans of food here or there, but it will only feed him for like maybe a week at the most, and that's assuming that the water system is still operating. If not, he'll die of thirst in the city within 3 days. So all of Batman's Gotham City street smarts are actually a total waste of time in the Walking Dead universe. For him to survive longer than a few days, he would need to get out of the city into the countryside, where he can find like fresh supplies of water and scavenge more food. There's a reason why the Walking Dead spends so much time wandering around in the woods, as annoying as that is. So when Batman wakes up, his first few days will most likely involve him using his stealth skills to get a picture of what's happening in the city around him, what the walkers are, and for him to realize the need to leave the city to survive long term. He would either gather together or build for himself supplies for the trip, including his funky new post-apocalyptic costume, and make for himself a plan of where to go. Now, since water is the most important resource, I think Batman would follow a river out of the city. Taking a boat would be the most sensible approach, and he'd just follow the river out into the countryside. He would not just ride down the road on a horse into another big populated area. Seriously, what are you doing? Perhaps he could loot or build for himself some kind of fishing equipment so he doesn't have to eat all of the supplies he brings with him so quick. And once out of the city, here's where Batman's outdoor wilderness survival skills come into play. Oh, what's that? You don't have any outdoor wilderness survival skills? Because you're a billionaire city boy with a butler who probably can't even cook a meal for himself over a stove, let alone over a campfire? Look, don't get me wrong, Batman's toughness in Gotham is legendary. But let's face it, his being the world's greatest detective or his ability to intimidate criminals does not necessarily translate into Bear Grylls style wilderness survival. Now granted, many of Batman's skills can be transferable, like his stealth and his batarang throwing could be very helpful for hunting, not to mention that he knows how to lay a snare, so he could certainly adapt that to like catch animals for food. But there is definitely going to be a learning curve. He can catch an animal, but gutting and cooking it outdoor style, in regards to that, his skill level would basically be the same as just you or me. Without his gadgets and his batsuit, he will basically need to learn from the ground up skills like navigation, caring for injuries, keeping warm outdoors. Again, I'm not saying that Batman is useless once you put him out in the wilderness. He's certainly a smart guy. I'm just saying there'll be a learning curve. He'll have to learn and adapt, and it will take time for him to adjust to his new environment. So you have to account for that. But I think before he has time to become like a full-fledged survival expert, he will be confronted by the next challenge of the Walking Dead universe, which is other survivors. The fact of the matter is, no one can survive the zombie apocalypse alone. I mean, what if you're cornered and you have to fight your way out through a horde? Who's going to watch your back while you're doing that? What if you break your leg? I mean, who's going to help you to get to safety? What if you don't know vital skills for survival, like growing crops for a long-term food source? Who's going to teach you that if you're alone? Batman is famously a loner, but in the zombie apocalypse, no one survives very long by themselves. We have seen many examples of those who did try to go at it alone in the Walking Dead universe. Morgan went at it alone after his son died, and he went insane because he was alone for too long. And he eventually sought out Rick and his group because he realized he needed to be with people. I could actually imagine Batman going a similar route, initially refusing to join any groups, slowly going more and more crazy until he finally pulls himself back from the brink of destruction, and then he goes out to either join or create his own group, much like Morgan. In The Dark Knight Returns, we saw a glimpse of how Batman could help to organize people and keep a measure of law and order in a lawless situation.
I am here to appeal to your community spirit. I know you've had your differences in the past. Some of you will even argue that you can't work together. That's fine. The rest of you can lend a hand to keep our city from falling apart. You can lead by example. Your choice. I'm sure you're all eager to help.
After the EMP blast of a nuke blacks out the whole country, the news makes a point to point out that it was Batman who held the city together.
Every major city in the country but one has descended into riots, looting, and other crimes.
Only Gotham has maintained order, thanks to the vigilante gang being led by the Batman.
Mind you, Commissioner Gordon also had a lot to do with that, so it wasn't just Batman alone. But I think once Batman has gone through his crazy loner phase, and once he realizes that he needs other people and they need him, once he embraces that, he would actually be a fantastic leader. I could totally see a Batman-themed community springing up in the same kind of extravagant style as King Ezekiel's community. And by then we could expect Bats to have adapted to his new environment and be a pro at a wide range of survival skills necessary. But regardless of how good of a leader or how skilled he may be at this point, he will run into the biggest test of his skills, which is rival groups. How would Batman, as a leader of a post-apocalyptic community, deal with Negan demanding half of his stuff in exchange for protection? This is a unique challenge for Batman. In his universe, he's always had the advantage of being a ghost. No one knows who he is and no one knows where to find him. You can't just rock up at his house and take the fight to him because you don't know who he is. You can't kill his family out of retaliation, while on the other hand, he can take the fight to you whenever he wants. But now, the situation is reversed. Batman's location will be known by his enemies. He can't hide, and any action that he takes against his enemies will have repercussions on the innocent people that are under his protection. The very mask and anonymity that protects his friends and his family from reprisals in Gotham is now gone. So how would Batman deal with the problem then? If he used his stealth abilities to sneak into Negan's base and kill him, his even crazier right-hand man could take over and burn Batman's community to the ground. So that would be a pretty dumb option. And it's a dumb option that several characters in the show decide to go with, despite the fact that Negan has captured Daryl and is keeping him hostage for specifically that reason. But everyone who is going after Negan just seemed to completely forget that Daryl was a hostage, or that Negan's guys can just retaliate against their town even if they do kill Negan, and they all just totally forgot about that. And it was basically just dumb luck that Daryl happened to escape on his own by the time the first attempt on Negan's life came around, and and that Negan just decided not to inflict heavy casualties on the people of Rickstown. But hey, I guess that's what happens when the show writes itself into a corner and it doesn't know how to get out of it. They just throw in dumb luck so that everything just magically works out. And if you need magical Deus Ex Machina storytelling to get you out of a jam, safe to say, assassinating Negan, not a very good plan. So what other options would Batman have then? Maybe he could play along with Negan until he could rally enough support from surrounding communities to even out the numbers so they could go the full war option, just like what happened in the show. Possibly Batman could do that, but the thing is, Batman has never expected regular Gotham citizens to back him up in fighting crime in his universe. In fact, he has openly opposed it.
Don't let me find you out here again.
We're trying to help you.
I don't need help.
What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
So I really don't think Batman will want to go the full war option because of all the collateral damage that would come as a result of that. It's just not his style, because he doesn't want to risk other people's lives. He's willing to risk his life, but he doesn't want to risk other people's lives. Much more of his style would be a way to take out Negan without any of the retaliation hitting his community. That's what Batman always was from the start. That's the point of wearing the mask. That's the point of the costume. He's anonymous. There can't be any retaliation. So you might think, well, that's easy. He can just slip on the cowl and go and assassinate Negan then. And as long as his mask stays on, no one's going to figure out that it's him. But then of course we would still run into the same problem of before, of someone else just taking Negan's place and is possibly even worse. See, the thing is, when Batman's in his own universe, when he fights one of the villain's gangs and takes the villain out, he does so knowing that Commissioner Gordon and all the Gotham police are going to come in behind him and mop up what's left of the villain's gang and throw them all in prison.
We rounded up about half of them. No fight left in them at all. Those who got away have broken off into smaller gangs.
I'll deal with the rest of them in time.
In the Walking Dead universe though, he can't count on that happening. So Batman, if he wanted to go the assassination route, he would not just have to take out Negan, he would have to take out his entire leadership and a huge chunk of Negan's standing army, and he cannot do that all by himself. In the show they managed to do this, and they managed to do this once again by dumb luck. Rick rallies everyone together and fights the war, and he loses. Negan has them completely surrounded, he has them outnumbered, he has them outgunned, and they're only seconds away from being slaughtered when... Deus Ex Machina again. Eugene sabotages the guns of Negan's guys, allowing Rick to win. Again, not a good plan if you need dumb writing to get you out of it. So if Batman can't sneak in himself and kill Negan, and he also can't rally a big war, what other option does he have? Well, what Batman would need to do, and what I think he would do, is he would train up a whole team of Batmen. Not just him, but a whole bunch of Batman. A mini Batman army, if you will, all wearing masks, hiding their identity, that can pose as a rival outside group that can wage war against Negan without it ever seeming like this group is actually connected to Batman. Like if Batman had this group stage attacks in all of the other communities that Negan extorts supplies from, including Batman's own community, then Negan would not suspect Batman for being responsible. He would see this as a rival group trying to muscle in on Negan's territory. See, then it would make no sense for Negan to take it out on Batman's community, because this is an external group that's robbed everyone, including Batman's community. Or at least, that's hopefully how it would look to Negan. I mean, if Batman really wanted to go all in with this deception, he could even stage his own death, pretending that this external group executed Batman when he tried to fight them off. See, then Batman would have enough people to fight a war, and he would be able to wage that war all he wants on Negan without ever needing to worry about Negan taking it out on any innocent people. But with the whole Batman team taking the fight to Negan, he would be in a much better position to take out Negan's entire leadership, and with guerrilla tactics he could inflict massive damages on Negan's army, to the point where once the leadership is gone, they will just break up into smaller groups that are much more easy for Batman to handle. So I think that's how Batman would deal with a group like Negan's saviors, not just in a dumb Walking Dead, make stuff up as you go along and hope for the best, failing but then getting saved at the last minute by sloppy writing kind of a way, but in an actual smart, strategic Batman style way. Because the intricacies of gang warfare is something that Batman understands very well from his years on the streets in Gotham.
I know why you're afraid to go out at night. The Batman. See, Batman has shown Gotham your true colors, unfortunately.
So perhaps I was wrong. Maybe his big city crime fighting skills actually are useful in the post-apocalyptic world in combating rival groups. And you know what? His detective skills, while they might on the surface seem to be useless in a post-apocalyptic world, since kind of everybody's criminals in a post-apocalyptic world, and criminals don't leave clues, I wouldn't think, his detective skills actually would help him in one crucial way. Since he has a mind to notice little details and read body language, that would assist him in being able to tell the difference between, say, a walker and someone who's a human but is disguised as a walker. That would prevent Batman's Walking Dead journey from ending with him being shanked in the back out of nowhere. So there it is. That's how I think Batman would go in the post-apocalyptic world. I think he'd go very good. He'd have a learning curve to have to learn some of the outdoor survival skills that he's lacking. And once he gets over his I'm going to be a loner phase, I think he'd be a leader 10 times better than Rick, because he wouldn't make the same kind of dumb decisions that Rick has made. And his knowledge of gang warfare from his crime fighting years would mean he's able to pick apart Negan's crew and even the Whisperers himself. I mean, apart from the fact that they're creepy looking and they wear the skin of dead people, strategically they're not really that dangerous. I mean, wouldn't really be that hard, right? I mean, if they look like walkers, just shoot them. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Batman would succeed like I do, or do you think he'd be out of his element? I am Bandit, this is Bandit Incorporated. Until next time, I will see you guys in the comments.